the opposition to the Johnson Amendment is something that faith groups have been pushing for a long time. A specific right-wing group of churches have long opposed this idea that if you are a nonprofit religious entity, you are prohibited, like other nonprofits, from explicitly endorsing or defaming a candidate. And there are other political restrictions as well. The idea is you can talk about policies, you can talk about things that you would benefit other people, but you can't go and be explicitly political. So a lot of right-wing Christians don't like this because they would like to preach explicitly political sermons to their churches. Some of them do.
They do anyway, yeah.
Every year there's a thing called Pulpit Freedom Sunday where all of these different churches preach explicitly political sermons, record them, and then mail them to the IRS to dare them to do something about it.
Is that right?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the IRS doesn't do anything about it. And so, in some ways, this is already kind of a de facto policy to begin with. But at least on paper, it's prevented people from from allowing church groups to be explicitly, unabashedly political, and still have a nonprofit status. He's talking about pulling that away. So you could stand up there and say, congregation, you should vote for Donald Trump, and they still get tax-exempt status at the end of the day.
Why doesn't the IRS do anything about this? Why haven't they in the past?
So generally speaking, it takes a lot
to
rise to a certain level where the IRS is going to come down on you because they just have so much going on.
Sure.
And there's a few cases in the past few years where they have cut the tax-exempt status to a congregation or to a house of worship. But generally speaking, it's similar to the reason why the federal government doesn't raid churches for if they house undocumented immigrants is because it looks bad. The federal government doesn't want to do that. And then if they see this at the end of the day as a very fringe problem, that it's only 1,000 churches is a lot of churches or 1,000 pastors, but it's really not that many in the grand scheme.
Sure, I understand. Yeah, that makes sense.
So they're it's not a huge problem at the end of the day. We're not going to spend all of our time trying to police this. But if they repeal the Johnson Amendment, it's going to be a heck of a lot more than 1,000 churches mailing this in. And it's going to be a whole, everyone can be able to do this. Now, what Trump doesn't realize, and what probably he doesn't care about, is that not everybody in the United States of America who is religious or who goes to a church or a temple or a synagogue or a mosque is in favor of Donald Trump or the Republican Party. So this could easily backfire. But this is what he wants to promise conservative Christians. So he wants to, again, totally obliterate the Johnson Amendment.